The story begins as our protagonist, and Suho, is betrayed by his party members. Weakened by the poison coursing through his body, Suho drops to his knees and presses his hand to the ground. The warrior, Alex Morgan, taunts him, remarking that a man with a broken sword trying to act tough should have just joined them from the start, mocking Suho's stubbornness as a public servant. The mage, Suzuki Endo, adds her own ridicule, saying that no matter how much he's called a sword god or whatever else, there's a vast difference in innate talent. She sneers that she hates men in suits. Suho coughs into his hand, noticing with horror that his blood has turned black from the poison. Memories of their shared past flood his mind, their battles fought side by side, their victories against powerful monsters, the celebrations they shared. He recalls the faces of his comrades and asks, pained, how they could betray him after all they had been through together. His former allies look at him with contempt. Angrily, Suho demands an answer. The healer, Isabella, responds coldly, explaining that it can't be helped since he's the only one opposing their plan. Suho questions them, reminding them of their achievements. They had conquered one of the 5 disastrous gates, and with the remaining 4, they could secure humanity's safety. But now they were willing to leave the gates open, allowing monsters to continue pouring out. He asks how they could act like monsters themselves, endangering humanity. The archer, Hexhood, responds that if all the gates were closed, the hunters who were once revered as heroes would lose their purpose and would be seen as mere thugs. He asks Suho if he too wants to become an object of fear. Then Hood offers Suho one last chance to join them, saying that he'd be willing to let him in out of respect. Suho, however, scoffs, reminding them that after stabbing him in the back, they think they can extend such an offer. Feeling his strength slipping away, he realizes he doesn't have much time left. Suzuki's venom has ravaged his body, leaving him with wounds that cannot heal. Accepting that he won't survive, he resolves to take at least one of them down with him, fulfilling his final duty as a hero of humanity. Gathering the last of his strength, he unleashes a powerful aura, startling his former comrades. Suzuki tries to reassure the group, saying it's just a bluff. After all, he's merely a swordsman with a broken sword. Hood positions himself protectively in front of Isabella, cautiously noting that something feels different. In an instant, Suho lunges forward, swiftly severing Morgan's hand and decapitating Suzuki. Hood pulls Isabella to safety just in time, leaving her shaken. Hood realizes that if he'd reacted any later, he would have been struck down too. His mind races as he wonders how Suho, whose sword was clearly broken, managed such a precise strike. He concludes that Suho must be struggling to breathe, with poison steadily overtaking his body. Isabella turns to Morgan, assuring him that she'll heal his wound. As she begins the healing process, however, she's shocked to find his injuries resistant to her magic. Startled, she realizes this must be the effect of the legendary intangible sword she had only heard about. Meanwhile, Suho stands with his sword in hand, a powerful aura radiating from it. Just then, the poison fully spreads through his body, leaving him weak. Feeling himself fade, he mutters that he's finally grasped it, only to collapse, frustrated, wondering why it had to happen now of all times. As he falls off a cliff, the system congratulates him, announcing that he has reached the realm of divine sword unity. A series of notifications appear, recognizing his awakening to the ultimate level of swordsmanship, his mastery of the formless sword, and the acquisition of his first SS rank skill. The system then offers him a unique opportunity to become even stronger as the first person to reach the realm of the transcendent. A final message appears, saying, rebooting the system for player on Suho. Suho awakens slowly, confused by a bright light, realizing he is being carried by a firefighter. Startled, he looks at the firefighter, who asks if he's all right, mentioning that Suho is injured and that a precursor gate has appeared nearby. He tells Suho that he'll take him to a safe zone. Still disoriented, Suho wonders if he has truly died and tries to understand where he is. As he looks around, he is shocked to see monsters wreaking havoc across the city. He spots a sign reading Sindorum, realizing that Sindorum Station has been contaminated by a gate outbreak. Then, he notices a goblin approaching and an arrow flying from a distance, striking the firefighter and causing them both to fall to the ground. As goblins approach, the firefighter urges Suho to run. Instead, Suho grabs the firefighter's axe, saying he'll borrow it for a moment, and steps forward to face the goblins. The firefighter warns him of the danger, insisting that they should escape. but Suho hurls the axe at one of the goblins, hitting its head and killing it instantly. Checking his own body, he realizes he is unharmed, noticing something peculiar. The system reappears, congratulating him on meeting the conditions for awakening. It declares that he has now awakened as a player and offers him the chance to grow even stronger. Suho laughs, recognizing the familiar process, recalling that it was exactly like this when he first awakened as a player. Finally, the system prompts him to choose the power he wishes to pursue. As Suho is about to choose his class, the firefighter interrupts him, urging him to escape immediately. Realizing he almost instinctively selected the warrior class, Suho quickly commands the system to delay the selection. He reassures the firefighter, saying there's no need to worry. He can handle the goblins alone, as they're only minor threats. Turning to face the goblins, he charges forward, meeting the creatures head-on. One goblin lunges at him, but Suho dodges its attack, startling it. Retrieving the axe he had thrown earlier from the goblin's skull, he swiftly advances, slashing through the creature, which lets out a shriek before collapsing to the ground. Suho reflects that goblins are only dangerous to beginner players and pose little challenge for someone of his skill. He prepares himself, muttering that he'll make quick work of them. In a flurry of swift movements, he decapitates one goblin after another, slashing through the entire group. He finishes by stabbing the last goblin in his path, then pulls his weapon free, leaving all the goblins defeated. As he surveys the scene, Suho thinks to himself that while goblins are easy to handle, his anger still hasn't subsided. Realizing he let his emotions get the best of him, he reminds himself to stay calm in situations like these. Reflecting, he considers that somehow he has returned to giving him a rare opportunity to start over from scratch. A series of notifications appear, and he remarks that it's been a while since he's seen those familiar messages. Commenting on the usefulness of the goblin's sword, Suho then turns to the firefighter, who asks if he's a player. Suho confirms and, deciding he's ready to make his class choice, commands the system to proceed. The available classes appear, and he selects healer. The system prompts him for confirmation, asking if he truly wants to follow the path of a healer. He affirms his choice, and the system announces that he has become a healer, awarding him 5 bonus stat points and granting him the healing light skill. Turning back to the firefighter, Suho tells him he's going to treat his wound and asks him to hold still for a moment. Activating healing light, he places his hand over the injury, and the system confirms that the healing process has begun. Carefully, he removes the arrow from the firefighter's wound and channels the healing light over the affected area, watching as the injury begins to mend. Once the firefighter's wound is fully healed, Suho asks him how he feels. The firefighter, surprised, responds that it doesn't hurt at all and asks if Suho is a healer. Suho replies with a nod, affirming that he is now. Just then, another notification appears, and the system informs him that it wants to present him with a small gift for using his first healing skill. It prompts him to select a weapon from its arsenal. Suho considers this, noting that despite choosing the healer class, his primary weapon is still a sword. The system then summons a beginner's sword, and Suho grips it tightly as the system confirms that he has obtained it. He studies the sword thoughtfully, declaring his intention to conquer the nearby gate. The firefighter warns him about the danger of going alone. Suho assures him that it's fine, explaining that he has something to gain from it. Reflecting on his situation, he realizes that just as he acquired swordsmanship skills before choosing a class, any skills he gains through his natural talent can be used freely, regardless of additionally. Skills from his chosen class will automatically upgrade as his level increases. He recalls how Isabella's Holy Spirit light skill also began as a basic healing skill. Suho thinks back to his past. If he'd been able to heal his injuries then, the outcome could have been very different. Determined not to repeat past mistakes, he resolves to become both a swordsman and a healer so he can protect his allies and grow stronger faster than before. His goal is to acquire skills quickly and level up, remembering that the gate ahead is an unpredictable premonition gate. Suho recalls that, in his past life, he nearly died attempting to conquer this very gate. Although his current skill level is low, he feels certain things will be different this time. Even if the challenges remain, the swordsmanship ingrained in his mind will guide him, and he's ready to start over. With renewed resolve, he places his hand on the gate, and a red aura glows around it. Closing his eyes briefly, he hears the system announce his entry into the gate. When Suho opens his eyes, he steps into the mysterious realm known as Green-Red. The system's notifications reveal that the gate's entry conditions and maximum capacity remain unknown.